We're here today with Phil Johnson. Phil has a profile on FindaGuitarTeacher.com. Welcome, Phil. It's great to be here with you today.
Thanks, James. Great to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about your guitar teaching. Can you tell us first, where do you teach?
I teach in a home studio in San Jose, California, right on the border of San Jose and Milpitas. And nobody knows where Milpitas is anyway. Most people know San Jose.
Most people do, but the people watching the interview would certainly know your area. So they would know right on the border of San Jose
That's
and
true.
Milpitas.
That's true, yes.
And do you do all your teaching there at the home studio, or do you ever travel to students' homes?
No, I do all the teaching at my home. I do all the teaching in my home studio there, yeah.
And are all your students in-person students, or do you also offer Skype lessons?
I do offer Skype lessons. Most of what I've got right now is live in-person lessons, but I'm definitely into doing Skype lessons. I like doing those.
That's awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about the guitar lesson climate there in San Jose? Do you find there are a lot of people who want to learn guitar?
Yeah, I'm always full. I only have, very few open slots at any given time, and it's been that way for many, many years now. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of good guitar players around here, a lot of people that are interested in learning.
Excellent. And that's great to hear that you're so busy. Always good to hear that about a fellow guitar teacher. And when students come to you, are there any particular styles of music that they tend to ask for most?
I deal with a lot of different types of players. I have, 6 and 7 year olds who are, maybe a little bit too early to be playing guitar and don't really know that much, but they just want to jump in and do it. And I have I've had, people in their 70s who are into gypsy jazz and things like that. And I've
Right.
got punk rock kids, and I've got people who want to learn fingerstyle. And so there's a lot of different styles that come through my studio, which is fun for me too.
It really keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And I found that myself. It requires a very open mind to be flexible enough to go in the directions of all the requests that students have.
Right. And fortunately, I've got a broad base of experience in my own playing and my own listening. So it's very rare that somebody can come in and stump me with a song or band that I've never heard of. It did happen once. One guy came in and listed off like 10 bands I'd never heard of in my life.
Really?
But yeah, it doesn't happen very often, though.
So it wasn't just one band; it was a whole bunch of them. This person really was into obscure bands, I would guess.
Yes. Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And what styles of music would you say you're most into?
My stuff, I mean, I'm a rock guy at heart. I
Yeah.
had years and years of classical music lessons. I was a flautist for 15 years and years of classical piano and things like that. In college, I studied jazz, blues, funk, and Latin stuff. I grew up as a metalhead teenager, listening to the heaviest and fastest stuff I could get my hands on. So it's really a lot of different things, and all that goes into my own work. And I like anything from a really, really simple pop song that's well written to complicated, off the wall Frank Zappa kind of stuff. So I listen to a lot of different things, but that rock, funk, blues, Latin-y kind of, that's my home base.
Got it. And you mentioned that you played the flute and the piano. Did you come to guitar later, or did you just start learning a bunch of instruments right from the beginning?
I started the flute when I was 8, piano at 12, guitar at 16.
Cool. And did you pick up the guitar through school, or did you just pick that up on your own?
I stole my dad's guitar. I stole his Melbag Guitar One book and started hacking away on it on my own. And I knew, enough about music to kind of get myself started. And then I studied with lots of different teachers, lots of different private teachers. I took group lessons through the Guitar Institute of Technology they had a satellite here in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to college and studied guitar there. So it was started off as self-learning, and then lots of training from lots of different people.
And in simple terms, okay,
Sorry, phone's ringing.
no problem. I heard that in the background, but no problem at all. That happens. Well, can you tell us a little bit, kind of in simple terms, what is your approach to teaching a student when a student comes to you? Do you find that do you draw on ways of teaching that you were experienced as a student to inform your own lessons, or have you developed your own approach?
A little of both. I mean, that's one of the things about having taken lessons from so many different teachers over the years. I've probably had at least 40 different music teachers over the years. So that's allowed me to absorb a lot of different ways of teaching and be able to cater to what the student needs. But specifically for guitar, I use a proprietary method that I've been working on over the last year and a half or so. I'm actually in the midst of writing it and teaching it at the same time
Cool.
into a book form, which really flips on its head a lot of the stuff that I was doing for the past 19 years of my teaching career, and uses the principles of accelerated learning to really take advantage of that sort of 80-20 rule and give you the things you're going to need right off the bat and use a lot right up in front, and make it so that things like reading notation and stuff like that isn't a hindrance at the beginning, but comes a little bit later where it's going to be easier to deal with, but not so late that you miss the usefulness of it.
Got it. I'm not familiar with the 80-20 rule. What is that?
Oh, it's called the Pareto principle, in which let me see if I can remember how it's 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
okay. And so I have a little trouble following that. That means that, like, if you're putting in more than 20% effort, you're going to get that much more result. Is that kind of the point?
That's sort of it, but it basically is the idea of not wasting time with things that are not going to contribute to that 80%. So finding the things that are the most
Got it.
important that will get you the most results right off the bat, and then going in and taking care of the other things that will help shore it up and make it better, but really going after this stuff that's going to give the most results really quickly.
Got it. I can follow that now. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
That makes a lot of sense to start there, to get people kind of hands on the guitar and feeling
Hmm.
confident about the guitar and not discouraged, which can easily happen.
Right.
Cool. And can you tell us a little bit about your lessons, kind of the scheduling format? How often do you work with students?
I do once a week for 30 minutes, and for most people, that is plenty of time because the lesson is really for me to introduce new material, while most of the real work is going to obviously take place in their home practice sessions. But so 30 minutes once a week allows me to give just the right amount of information without it being too much. And of course, I'm always accessible by email and things during the week if there's any questions that pop up. But that 30 minutes once per week seems to be the magic spot. And if I have advanced students where we find we're running out of time with that 30 minutes, then I do offer some hour slots.
Cool. And what are your fees, Phil?
It's the first lesson is free, so they can come check it out. We can get a game plan together, see what everything is like, and about 95% of people stay on after that. And then after that, they're $40 per lesson for that 1/2 hour per week.
Cool. And if you do the hour lessons, is it 80 or is it a different fee? If, say, you mentioned the advanced students.
Yeah, 76 for the hour. I knock a little bit off.
Got it. And I was wondering if you would happen to have a guitar around. It would be great to hear you play a little bit.
Sure, yeah. The funny thing with me as a player is I'm more of a songwriter guy, so I've never been a real flashy player. And artistically, career wise, I'm a comedian as well. So my songs tend to be on the funny end of things, and I play a lot of comedy clubs when I'm on tour. But anyway,
Cool. Yeah, cool. It would be good to hear you play part of one of your own songs. Would be wonderful. And is it possible to move? And if you want to play whatever you feel comfortable playing, and I was wondering if it would be possible to move the screen down just a little bit while you're playing, just so we could see the more of the guitar in your right hand. That would be great.
is that good?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just play a little bit of blues here.
That's awesome, Phil. Thanks for playing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what you could do, yeah, exactly. Tilt it back up again. These interviews often require a little bit of like the screen going down, screen going up, but that's
Sure.
cool. And in your own songwriting, you mentioned the styles of music that are kind of your home base, the funk and the rock and the pop and so on. Do you
Mhm.
find your own songwriting style that you're drawing on those styles of music when you write your own?
I do, but because of the comedy nature of what I work in, it really allows me to open up and use whatever styles fits the story of the music.
Right,
I've got a new song I've been doing that is almost like Mexican soap opera music because that's what the lyric needed for the
right.
story. Or it could be sort of like a '70s movie funk kind of thing because that's what it needed for the story. So that's the nice thing about the comedy songs that I write is I don't have to really be restricted to a particular style. I can do whatever it calls for.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that before, but if you are writing comedy songs, it allows you to be more freewheeling with the music because that will be
Yep,
part of the effect in the end. It doesn't need to be so correct. It can,
exactly.
yeah. That's very cool. And that was a very nice guitar you were playing. I was wondering, do you offer guidance to your students when they're looking to buy a new guitar?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And actually, that's kind of a beater guitar I was playing that I
Oh,
keep here in
really?
my office. Yeah.
And
Thank you, though.
yeah, what kind of guitar is it? It looked very nice on screen.
Oh, it's a sort of a cheapy Fender that I've had for years.
Oh, no
I happen
kidding.
to yeah, I happen to leave my main guitar over in my teaching studio, and I didn't have it here with me today.
Got
So,
it.
but that's I always keep one next to my desk for when the laptop is rebooting and I need to do something. But yeah, I absolutely will offer guidance, and I always tell new students if you're at the store and you have a question, just call me from right there. Plus,
Right.
I recommend the places that I like around here for them to go shop where I know they've got people who are honest and know what they're doing and will help them and things like that.
And so is it a good area for music stores where there's a good selection of places to go to buy gear?
We don't have a huge selection of places, but we do have a couple of really good places that have a
Cool.
nice selection. And I mean, really, if you have one really good place, that's all you need. So we have
That's
one
true.
really good place and a guitar center.
Got it. Got it. And yeah, I know what you mean when you say that. But Guitar Center can be very good, or it can be very intimidating sometime. And
Yeah.
that's where the guidance would really come in. I'd say for any newer student going to buy a guitar, there's always going to be a bit of trepidation, but I'd say especially if it's a bigger place, that can be pretty overwhelming.
Right, definitely. And my biggest piece of advice to them is just don't buy a guitar at Kohl's or Walmart or Target or one of those places
Right.
because they'll never be good. Because I've had people come in with those guitars and they just don't tune and they're more frustrating to play than they're worth. I have nothing against a good cheap guitar, but those are not good cheap guitars. They're terrible cheap guitars.
And a terrible cheap guitar can turn off a new player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Phil Johnson, I want to thank you very much. We're going to conclude the interview in a minute, but this has been wonderful to learn more about your teaching, what you teach, and the styles that you teach, and to hear you play some. I want to wish you best of luck in your guitar teaching and your music, and also in your songwriting. That sounds
Thank you.
fascinating when you mention songs that are in the 70s funk movie soundtrack vein or the Mexican soap opera vein. It certainly sounds very tantalizing. Are there links to your music on your website, for example?
Yeah, there are a lot of my songs because I work in adult comedy clubs are not a super
I see.
they can be offensive at times because that's the nature of those types of venues.
Right.
But I'm sorry, my website is roadsideattraction.com and that's where you can hear things. But yeah, rated PG-13 definitely.
Excellent, excellent. I'll have to check some of those out. And it's really been a pleasure to meet you. And once again, I want to wish you best of luck and look forward to seeing you soon on Find a Guitar Teacher.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Have a good day. Take care
You
now.
too.
Bye bye.